Hello, I'm TinyPirate. Welcome to this tutorial for Empyrion Galactic Survival. Today we're looking at building spaceships, which is a really interesting topic and one which I have uncovered a few secrets in. So listen in closely. Learn some amazing stuff today with me, TinyPirate. So first of all, to build a spaceship you're going to need to get a spaceship starter. And if I look at the creative menu, it's just the same in the actual game itself. You will see under the blocks that there is a spaceship starter block down here. There it is. And when you place that down, you end up plopping down a little grid of 9 cubes with a control block in the middle. Pretty straightforward stuff. Arrow indicates the direction that you should be driving this thing. So I'm just going to lay down a few blocks to give our vessel some capacity to be built on, have a bit of room there. And these are pretty simple, basic hull blocks, easily buildable by anyone who has ever played this game in any shape whatsoever. After that, I'm going to choose a cockpit to throw on, and we're going to now build basically a minimum viable space vessel. The kind of thing that you might want to throw together because you've drained all your resources on a planet and you really need just to get out of there fast. So I like this cockpit. In the ground vehicle tutorial that we also put together, you can see the other cockpits. This one is the most slimline, and I find that quite attractive. From there, a power source is required. And I plop it right about, well, okay, there will do. And after that, an engine of some kind. I find that the armored thrusters are the simplest and most effective to use. They come with 35 armor and 80 thrust. And the other engines, generally about the same amount of thrust and about the same energy in, but a lot less armor. So I don't really see the point in using them whatsoever. Atmospheric thrusters I have tested and found them to be no different at present from any of the other engines. I imagine they will change that. Maybe they'll make the atmospheric thrusters produce a bit more thrust for the craft when it's in atmosphere. And finally, the last thing we need to make it minimally viable is some fuel tanks. And believe it or not, that is all you need. This, unfortunately, will not get you very far because you won't be able to turn. And I generally find that turning is quite advantageous when it comes to going places. Just need to stock this up. Here we go. Pop a bit of fuel in it. Okay, so let me have a look here. Yep, it'll work. And if I go forward, oh, I'll turn it off again. It will actually move. I won't be able to turn though. Can't turn at all. Alright, so what do we do about that? Simplest thing is to place an RCS on your vehicle. RCS allows it to turn in all directions, not strafe, just turn. So I'll plop that. Middle there seemed about a good place, why not? Chuck it there. And if I come down, I'm just in creative mode so I can hover around. Power it on. Put a spacebar to lift it. Oh, can't go up of course, spacebar won't help. The only way for me to go up is for me to just hop off the ground. No. Can't go up at all, just crashing into things. Can turn. Well, yeah. So we clearly want to fix that. Although this thing would get to space with some effort, does seem a little bit pointless, doesn't it, to do it this way. So turn off, hop out. Let's get on with putting some thrusters on this thing. Okay, so I've got some thrusters. And ideally we want to place one thruster in facing in all directions. And I'm going to be really simple here. I'm just going to throw one on the front. There we go. You can be facing left. You can be facing right. And you can be facing forward. Now we just need an up-down thruster. Why not chuck that at the back? Why not indeed? So one facing up will push us down. And of course, one facing down will push us up. And with that, we should be good to go. Let's have a test. Spacebar pushes us up. Q rolls. Good job. D and A sliders left and right. W goes forward. Yeah, simple stuff. And it works. This is enough to get you into space. You will go to space today. Now, this is far from an ideal configuration for a craft, and we'll talk about why that is in a second. First of all, let's get down to the ground over here. Right, turn off. Okay, hop out. One of the things that is happening is when I crash into the ground, and I can crash into it too hard, I will eventually start damaging this craft, and I'll need to start going around and repairing it, like I am going to have to do here. The way to get around that is to place down some legs. And on this craft over here, you can see on both these crafts I have legs. Problem is, getting legs when you need to get under the craft is quite difficult, because they will not roll very happily. Any attempt to roll it will usually see itself righting when you hop out. So the best way to get legs on these is to take them into space, hop out of your spacecraft once you're basically doing no sort of forward movement at all, and there is no gravity. And you can see those readings in the bottom right of the screen usually. And then stick your legs onto the vehicle. That will at least allow you to sit down safely when you get to the planet's surface. But there are still a couple of useful things you want to do with these vehicles. Let's chuck some lights on the front, for example. Lights will help you see. No great surprise there. Very useful in the dark. Next thing to think about is oxygen. Where is our oxygen tanks? There it is. Oxygen tanks will allow you to fuel up on oxygen while you're traveling. In particular, what it allows you to do is if you're in the craft, then any oxygen that you use is actually extracted from the tanks here rather than from your suit. Likewise, you might want to think about popping on a oxygen, where is it here? You might want to think about putting on the oxygen station. And the oxygen station is going to be very helpful in case you want to fuel up your oxygen tank, your suit tanks when you get to another world. It is quite bulky, so hey, I'll leave it up to you to figure out how to get it on. I do believe from what I've heard that you need to make sure that the oxygen station sort of is at chest height, so when you bump into it at chest height it'll fuel you up. But you're welcome to fiddle with that and find out. Seems like a good idea to me. Next thing to think about is a constructor. These are obviously starting to get into fairly complex bits of kit to build. Where are you, Mr. Constructor? There you are. But the advantage of a constructor is that if you have any fears whatsoever that you're going to and perhaps damage a craft on another world, then the constructor will... Where am I going to chuck you? I'll chuck you right there. The constructor will let you build the parts you need to get back into the game. There we go. So, ugly, but that is pretty efficient. We'll throw on a storage crate. And where is our fridge? We'll throw on a fridge as well. Fridges will keep your perishable goods from perishing. Okay. Stick it on there. And that should be pretty much everything you could ever want in a space vehicle. How does it fly? Let's have a little look-see. Goes up gently. Lots of headlights. Turn those off with F. Thank you for the people who pointed that out in the previous videos. And yeah, look, hovering around okay. You may be wondering at this point what the effect would be of adding more engines onto the space vessel. Well, unfortunately they won't make you go faster, neither will more thrusters. What they will do is take you from 0 to the maximum speed quicker, the more you have. So as you can see now, if I just sort of point up, I am going to be able to go 40 meters a second sideways. And if I change direction, 40 meters a second the other way. But it takes quite a while for me to get up to my maximum speed, especially with this much weight. As I add more weight, the speed will slow down even more, take it really lethargic, makes the ship really lethargic. And the other problem is that as the ship gets heavier, eventually I won't be able to, in fact, see it lift off the ground at all. Left the power on, turn off. And in that case, you definitely will want more downward-facing thrusters to let you pick up vertical speed and get off the ground. The next thing to think about is naming your vessel, which is pretty easy to do from within inside the vessel. You can press the P key, and then you can name your ship by coming down here to the overall status. Nublet, sounds like a good idea. Access, it's a multiplayer feature. I can turn it on and off here if I want. Again, turn it on and off here. In here, you can also see the status of all the items on your vessel, whether or not they're damaged. And yeah, so that's quite a helpful panel. Now, this is where we get into some interesting points about the discoveries that I've found. So, this ship over here, if you look at it, you might start to notice something a little unusual about it. Shout out if you can figure out what it is. Does it work, though? That's the question. Has no engine, has no thruster, does it? Does it work? And battling frame rates. Turn it on. Yes, it does work. Why is that? I hear you ask. Well, that's because I found that you don't actually need to see the engines or the thrusters for them to work. You can cover them up with bricks and protect them from the harsh wilds of space and drones and alien towers and what have you. This is pretty handy. Very handy, in fact, because it means you can make nice, sleek designs. You can very much keep everything inside your ship safe. And even weapons. Yes, I have rocket launchers hidden behind blocks of armor, and, well, they seem to work just fine to me. The only problem with this ship, which also should be pretty obvious, is that I've managed to brick over the fuel tanks and the oxygen tanks. So, yeah. Not even sure where they are under all of that. Will take me a little while to figure it out if I need to fuel the thing up, I suppose. In terms of weaponry, you have two options on a newbie spaceship. You have a rocket launcher, and you have a Gatling gun. Both of them easily buildable from the starter planet. Slap them both on there. The problem with building two of them on a craft at one time is that, power up and get up here, is that I can only select one of them at a time to fire, which is a bit of a pain. As you can see, I'm firing one rocket and it's not firing the Gatling gun. I can fire the Gatling gun independently, but it won't fire the rockets. Haven't figured out how to link fire them in any way, so for now perhaps choose one weapon and stick with it. A bunch of rocket launchers seems to be pretty effective, other than there is a bit of an issue with strafing. Any kind of strafing just absolutely throws your aim off. So I'm just going to tip over here, fly wildly around and try and hit that patch of trees down there. And as you can see, it's real pain. Pretty much need to come straight in at something, and then you'll find you can hit it quite effectively then. There we go. Die, strange alien bushes. Point blank? Yeah, I can hit you at point blank. Well done, me. That's pretty much everything you need to know about building a spaceship inside Empyrion Galactic Survival. We'll continue this tutorial series once there is a bit more content added to the game, and I expect that won't take too long. Developers seem really engaged. Until then, I've been TinyPirate. I hope you'll stay tuned for our other videos and interesting Let's Plays, and I'll catch you again soon. Good night.